Hello everyone! Recently, I got a couple of you guys asking me on Instagram DMs on how I do my makeup. So today, I will be breaking down to you step by step on how I achieve this look over here. We'll be breaking down the tips and tricks on achieving this look over here, the reasoning why I do certain things as well, so you can apply it to your own makeup routine. And without further ado, let's get into it. So this is my bare face and this is what we'll be working with, and currently this is my skin as well. I have a little bit of a pimple going on right over here. So for first step is normally makeup prep or makeup base. For me personally, I do not like to use a primer. I've tried water-based, silicone-based primers. They usually don't really work for me personally. So I always rely on good skincare. Your skincare is good enough to work as a makeup base, and the key thing to make your skincare work for you is to make sure that it actually sinks into your skin. I've seen many people, what they do is actually they just start smacking layers and layers on top of each skincare. They don't let the layers sink into their skin. Especially if you're doing your morning skincare, make sure you wait 3 to 5 minutes for your skincare to sink into your skin first. Give it some time, and then after that you can go into your makeup, because if you don't do that, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna get a lot of patchiness, balling up on your skin. You'll be wondering, why is my foundation not layering nicely and stuff like that as well. Give your skincare some time to sink into your skin, roughly about 3 to 5 minutes, and you'll be more or less good to go and you can start putting on your base makeup. And if you're wondering, like, Crystal, I don't have like 3 to 5 minutes to like sit around and do nothing. Do your eye makeup. Skinny pencils like this are good to have on hand because you can go in and draw very defined brows. As you can see, I do have brow hairs, but they're not the most defined brows in a sense. So normally what I like to do is start roughly in the middle, and then I'll draw out the tail to give it some shape, to map it out a little bit. And you can see, compared to this side over here, this is definitely way much more defined. I don't like starting right from the center here sometimes because it can look a little bit too heavy. So my advice is really to just draw out from the tail. And your eyebrows are kind of like the cap to your eyeshadow makeup. The tail should end where your eyes end, like roughly pointed up like this. So maybe if you want, you can extend it a little bit more. Depends on how you will want to do your eyeshadow for the day. And I like to follow the natural shape of my brows. I don't like to carve out a brow like in 2016, that kind of trend. I don't like that. Skinny pencils like this are great because you can draw singular hairs and stroke it upwards. So it looks way much more hair-like in a sense. So you can blend it a little bit more, but you can see that I didn't really touch like too much. So as you can see, this is the before and this is the after. You are done with brows and your skincare is still sinking into your skin. You're like, okay, let's do some eyeshadow. The number one tip I have for you guys when it comes to eyeshadow is to always use an eyeshadow base. The two eyeshadow primers I've used and loved so far is the MAC Paint Pot and Urban Decay Primer Potion, the original one. The MAC Paint Pot is a recent new love. I never got onto the hype for a really long time. So it looks like this, and this is in soft ochre. By the way, all the products that I use on my face will be in the description box below. You can go and check it out. You can see there's some discoloration around my eyes, correct? So what Painterly Paint Pot does, because it has more pigment, it actually color corrects a little bit. It gives a bit of coverage as well to my eyelids, so it really becomes a blank canvas. That's how I get my eyeshadow colors to look so clean and true to color, and it also pops on my eyelids. Because if you were to just apply eyeshadow on your bare lids like this with maybe a lot of discoloration like mine, then the colors won't really show on your eyelids. It will look a little bit muddy, a little bit not very clear. However, I do not recommend using concealer as your tacky base. The issue with concealers is that they are hydrating in a sense. They have that hydrating property because they are meant to be applied the under eye or the skin in general. The moment the base eye makeup has some hydrating property to it, it does have a tendency to cause the eyeshadow to crease throughout the entire day. It won't really hold the powder there as well as compared to a sticky silicone base like these. So that's one tip for you guys. And if you're like, Crystal, these eyeshadow primers, they are kind of expensive. I would recommend checking out the Etude House Proof 10 Eye Primer. That one is something quite similar to the Urban Decay Primer Potion. It's just that I feel that the body and shape of it's a little bit hard to get product out, but the product itself, it's really not bad. Moving on to eyeshadow, the exciting part. I actually did do a video on a more in-depth how to do eyeshadow for beginners. I tell you the brushes to pick, eyeshadow palettes I recommend, and also how to actually place eyeshadow. So that's a way much more in-depth review. Cut up above, go and check it out. For the eyeshadow for today, we'll be using the WakeMake eyeshadow palette over here. This is the soft blurring eye palette from WakeMake in Daily Blurring. I like this palette because it contains a lot of mattes, very warm tone friendly, and it's quite easy to use. So for today's video, I'll be doing a much more simpler eye look. So this is more of like a daily eye look in a sense. So nowadays what I like to do is actually go into maybe like a shade like this, like a very light brown, and I actually bring it all over the eye like this. Now just make sure to coat the whole eyelid, because let's say example if you're rushing for time, then this would be great to add a little bit of depth and definition. And when you go into your eyeshadow palette like this, make sure to tap off the excess. As you can see, the powder is like flying everywhere, so at least you get a nice even amount of product on your brush. It's best to work in like smaller, thinner layers, and then you slowly build up the product and layer it on your face. You got a little bit of color on your eyelids right now. You want to add a little bit of definition on your eyes. So now it's time to go into the medium dark shade to add some definition. So somewhere like the middle row is a good rough gauge of how deep your eyeshadow could go if you're somewhere around my skin tone. As you can see, there's a lot of powder kick up, right? So remember, tap off the excess. And what I like to do to make sure the pigment stays as well is to stamp it down like this. As you can see, compared to just now, I was really like brushing the product onto my skin. Right now I'm like really like stamping it in. So once you finish stamping the product in, you will want to start blending it slightly. So you got some definition on your eye right now. Going with a darker eyeshadow like this color over here, knock off the excess as well. I'll use this as eyeliner. It's great to use it like a smoky effect, and it's great for beginners as well because it's not so anxiety inducing as compared to maybe like a brush liner. Follow your natural shape of your eye, okay? Start off at the end somewhere like this, and then you can just drop in a little bit. Just add and lay down the color. Follow the natural shape and you can just brush it out like that. So as you can see, there's a little bit more definition around here. Very, very subtle, but I think it just adds that nice, subtle, little bit of oomph to your eyes. You can also bring it in as well if you want to make sure your whole eyeline here wants to be a little bit more defined. And if you're like, Crystal, I want to add a little bit more oomph into my liner, you can always drag it out like this. Oh, that's a lot. I know that's a lot. So you can see I made a mistake. You can just use your fingers to just diffuse it a little bit. As you can see now, it's a very nice smoky effect. It's just using one eyeshadow palette. You don't really need to buy another gel liner if you don't want to. If you want to end off your eyeshadow look like this, it is totally fine as well. I think this as a daily matte eye look, very nice. However, I am the type of person that loves to add a little bit of sparkle and shine. So normally I would like to gravitate towards Korean glitters because Korean glitters are where it's at. I mean, look at this. Isn't this stunning? Oh my gosh. So let's go in with this shade. Okay, this one over here. We'll go in like this. Check out that reflex. Isn't that stunning? Oh my gosh. Alright. And what I'll do is I'll pop it right at the center, right over there, the highest point of my eyeballs. Normally Korean glitters, they have that little bit of transparent base while letting the shimmer shine, so whatever color that you place underneath will peek through still. It just gives that little bit of definition and shine in your eyes, and I like it a lot. For eyelash colors, the one that I've been using the most is the Shiseido eyelash color. This is the one that has been raved about highly. I get to the very roots of it, and because my eyelashes are like really like short, straight, and very stubborn, what I like to do is I press and I hold 1, 2, 3, let go. Second middle part, 1, 2, 3, let go. 1, 2, 3. The stark difference. I know it's very sparse and it's very short, but it is what it is. If you have short, straight lashes, very stubborn, they always fall down easily, look for Asian mascaras, the ones that are more on the drier side of things and also waterproof, because those really hold the curl. This is my right under eye, the CLIO Lash, the one with the red cap. This is the long curling one. Look out for wands like this that have very, very short tooth, and it's very easy to get in between your lashes. And when you comb through your lashes, make sure you're combing it through from the base and not from like the middle of your lashes. If you're starting from the middle of your lashes and the roots itself don't get coated, then you'll find that the product will only work from the middle of your lashes. The lash will just like slowly start to droop down bit by bit. So this is how my lashes are looking like with just one coat, and I think it's really a day and night difference. It really helps to make your eyes brighten up and look way much more awake as well. And now we're moving into base makeup. So a common thing a lot of people will do is when they have acne spots like this, they want to cover up. Normally what they do is they apply foundation followed by concealer, which is something definitely you can do, but I think sometimes there's issues where like the concealer and foundation doesn't match, and you can like obviously see like, oh, my concealer is concealing like a literal splotch over here of where your acne spot is, and it's a little bit more obvious. So if you want to avoid that, I would highly advise you to get a concealer first. Go in with your concealer first, and it must be 1 or 2 shades darker. See, this mark is really like red over here, right? Obviously you can color correct it, but if you don't have time, just go in, use your fingers, and just work it into the skin. But you can obviously see the edges, the perimeter of where the concealer ends, correct? So this is where you would go in with your foundation on top, because when you apply a foundation on top, it just helps to blend the edges around here, so making the concealer like not as obvious but still giving you that coverage. One trick that I've been loving recently is actually, you have a cushion foundation like this, right, and you want to have an even amount of product because you don't want to apply all of this on your face. So what you do is on this side of here, use it like a palette, and you just want to dispense some of the product at the side over here, making sure the color turns into like a grayish color. So that means some of the product is evenly like spread out already, right? And what you want to do is go in and then apply it like this, because now what it has done is kind of like thin out the product and spread the product across the puff itself, so giving you that nice even application. You won't even have to deal with splotchy foundations. Obviously the acne is still gonna peek through, let's be realistic here. I am not expecting it to be like flawless kind of thing, not really, but it definitely helps compared to no makeup, no base foundation whatsoever. So I think this is one thing that I really enjoy. So this is a full face of concealer and foundation. It does not feel heavy on the skin. Definitely can feel product on your face as compared to like no makeup or whatever, but it's definitely way much more lighter rather than caking it and slapping on cushion foundation straight up on your face. And you can see the acne mark is definitely much more less obvious right now, and it still looks very skin-like still. And because for the fact here that I live here in Singapore, right, it's really hot, it's really sweaty, I do have to set down my base product. So what I like to do is I use a loose setting powder like this, and I like to press in like this. Not just sweeping it up like that, but just really like pressing it in at the start, followed by sweeping it in to make sure it's blended really nicely. Because when you press it in like this, you're making sure you're pressing the powder into the skin and not just simply like sweeping it across your skin as a layer. When you push it in, you're making sure it marries together with the foundation and your base makeup. I just want to give like a gentle affirmations that makeup will always look like makeup on skin. Like, look, this this is still my skin. Imperfections, what not have you, it will still forever be there, and I've like completely embraced it at this point. Like, I just want my skin to look like skin. Now for cheek makeup, I usually love to go in with a blusher. So normally, because of my face shape, it depends if I'm like wearing spectacles or no spectacles, but like for today I'm not wearing, right? Sometimes I just like to add a little bit of flush of pink around here. Placement of blush really depends on personal preference. Let me know if you want me to do a whole video on it. But basically, I like to put it in this triangular area around here. So that's all I'm gonna do for my cheeks. I usually don't apply contour to my cheeks. Maybe my nose a little bit, but I feel like for today's look, because it's not a really like heavy and intense look, so I feel like my nose is not too lost in my face in a sense, so I think it's fine. So far looking at my face, I feel like my eyes are pretty intense. My cheeks are a little bit more on the muted side, so for my lips, I can afford to go in with a slightly more punchier color. I can push the limit a little bit more, because even if I don't wear any like lip product right now, my face looks very flat. Like, it does not look alive, you know? So now we're gonna go into lips. I recently picked up 2 new colors of the CLIO Dewy Blur Tint. I know when I did the review back then, I said, oh, they're too expensive, I don't want to buy anymore. But then there was a sale recently at my local drugstore, so I'm just like, let me just buy 2 pieces, because there was like literally one piece was like $13 instead of $20. Yes, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to go in with the CLIO Dewy Blur Tint number 7 in Nude Breeze. I don't really like this color on me, because yes, tonally it's there, correct, but the color undertone, something is a little bit off. It doesn't really pair together with this like brown peach moment, so I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna try something else. I decided to try this out instead. I have not used this in a really long time. It's the Blur Fudge Tint from Rom, and this is a number 1 pomeloco. So I think this has more of like a warmer undertone. I felt like Nude Breeze has more of that white base in it, which kind of threw me off a little bit. Yeah, I feel like this definitely works way much better compared to Nude Breeze just now. There's a bit of green around the eyes here. Green and red are complementary colors, so they usually work really well. I brought it out slightly further, and this is how the makeup is looking like. I love how the eye look looks like. It's very wet, reflective. I live for this kind of eye look. I want everyone to know that I'm wearing shiny, wet eyeshadow. Love it. And let me know if you like today's look. Do you like the tips? Will you be trying it out? I love to hear from you guys. And if you're ever interested in doing my yearly roundup of makeup favorites, do check out this video I did over here. It is all the makeup products that I've loved for the year, and I show it to you guys. It is a full list, all the makeup products from face, eye, lips, and cheek. So you guys can go and check out that video over there, and I'll see you guys here.